afternoon, viewers. Welcome to your weekly dose of youth news. Welcome to your show that provides you youth news across Namibia. That's Generation C. My name is Chusisha Shipena, and we'll be taking you on a roller coaster of exciting and informative news from the youth, by your youth. And on our front page today of The Zone, we had Ndiilo Nthengwe. She's a 24-year-old entrepreneur, and she is the founder of Tila Investments. To read more about Ndiilo, grab yourself a copy of The Zone inside Namibian Sun, Republican, and Allgemeine Zeitung. Let's get into the exciting stuff. I'm joined by Ndiilo Nthengwe, and she's from Out-Right Namibia. And you guys have seen that this weekend we had a protest, pro-choice protest, demanding for the legalization of abortion. Welcome to the studio, Ndiilo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So let's just get into it. Tell us what Out-Right Namibia is for our viewers that do not have a clue what it is all about.
Okay. So thank you once again for having me here. My name is Ndiilo Nthengwe, as you introduced, and I'm from Out-Right Namibia. Out-Right Namibia is a human rights-based organization that advocates for the voices of sexual, gender, and sex minorities in the country, also commonly known by the terms LGBTQ+ community. That is what Out-Right does.
All right, perfect. There has been a debate all over social media. There's a petition going around with about 70,000, nearly to 70,000 signatures to legalize abortion here in Namibia. And let's just touch on the topic that how important is it to have young individuals and educate them on their sexual reproductive
yes,
and their sexual reproductive health.
Yes.
Sorry.
I think it's always important to inform the youth of their sexual reproductive rights and health, because the youth are disproportionately also affected by a lack of comprehensive sexuality education in their curriculums, in their social circles, in their conversations. And so this kind of education empowers them to make informed decisions that are empowerful, that are impactful, and that can ensure that they continue to make informed decisions about their sexualities, about their bodies, about their futures. And so this is why the youth's voice is and was particularly very important when we took to protest for access to safe abortions in the country.
All right. I like the fact that you put out that in their curriculum, sexual education should be more advanced. What do you think we can do to our education system to make sure that once a child is out of that school, once I enter that school, I know the basics, I know a little bit about my sexual health, and just a little more. What ideas do you have for our education system?
So what we've seen in the past years is that sexual education was always so limited, just down to three concepts, which is use a condom, abstain from sex, and another one. There was another one.
Be faithful.
Be faithful. Yes. And so, you know, now our countries and curriculums and policies now have to veer from those limited understanding of what sexual education is to make it more comprehensive, so that once I enter into a school system, from the moment I start until the moment I leave, I have been educated at age-appropriate stages throughout my school career on what comprehensive sexuality is. And that is why it's not something that you now have to start excluding different age groups, because many young kids and girls and boys have been already exposed to sex and sexual intercourse and, you know, all forms of what sexuality is. And so it is a huge disservice if we just limit it to the three traditional ways that we have already been informed on comprehensive sexuality. And so that is why it is so important that it starts from as early as you start school, in order to ensure, because so much happens throughout your school life that many young people don't have decisions about what to make for their futures, especially informed. And that is why we do find that at least the amount of young girls are the ones that are most disproportionately affected by the lack of this comprehensive education, because it's simply not in our curriculums. And thus it is impacting on our young people's lives in the most heinous and also, backward ways.
Okay. Seeing that the protest this Saturday included mostly young people, most of the people that took part in the protest were youth, what advice or what views do you have, seeing that we give platforms to young people to voice their opinions and so that they can be heard?
The advice really is to just, because this is as much as a social as it is political and economic, and thus it is about our lives, about our future. And we should try as much as possible to take in the information, especially that it is fact-based, in order to make that informed decision. Because coming back to those three concepts of comprehensive of sexuality education that we grew up with, which was stay faithful, use a condom, and be faithful, I'm not sure how much of an empowering sense that really would bring into someone that really has a whole future in which they need to plan for themselves with the correct information, with the facts. And so it really comes back to ensuring that this is a part of your daily dosage or consumption, that you ensure that you prepare your mind, not just within school curriculums, but outside of that, to ensure that you have the necessary education and knowledge and information that is at least on par with where you are currently, where you see yourself, and really the future that you want to see for yourself. Because ultimately the policies that would be implemented would be impacting on their lives, on our lives. And if you are not informed, you would then be either excluded, marginalized, or you just tend to follow the policies that are available because you don't have an understanding already of how that might impact you or impact your future. And that is why the voices, especially in the past protest, were so important and necessary, because it shows that we are actually much more conscious than what we used to be, or what the previous generation before us used to be. And that we definitely are, going against the grain with gender norms and the constructs and binaries in our systems and in our own thought processes and thinking, to ensure that we really do have to take these matters into our own hands, and we have to do that collectively.
Okay, seeing that we have a whole generation, everyone wants to be a feminist. How do we build a generation that advocates for human and women rights, not only on the scene, but also behind those, and also getting men involved in advocating for women rights?
Just as is within basic conceptualization, with feminism being about gender parity and equality and equity, and really it starts from your concepts, what you've been exposed to ensure that those gender roles or those gender norms are reversed, and that you play a role, whether you're a boy or you're a girl, in ensuring that you uphold this concept of equality and of parity and equity within the concept of feminism. It does not have to be so textbook based. It doesn't have to be so philosophical to grasp. We teach young boys and girls from a very young age about the concept of what pink is and what purple is. And so that can be reversed by just, getting different information to them to ensure that it is not so binary. And so whether you are in front of the scenes or behind the scenes, that you ensure that you do not perpetuate those norms in your circles, in your surrounding. It is very difficult because it's a culture that is built on centuries and years that constantly spew a narrative around what women's place is in society, what men's place is in society. And so this culture, definitely, when you start to go against that, you will face a lot of opposition. You will face a lot of just, pushback from that way of thinking. But that is how we have to start taking things now. It has to be much more radical, and we have to be much more intentional and aware, And that is the only way that we can really also challenge these norms that have been with us for years. And so it is everyone's responsibility, because if you don't take on that understanding of bringing justice to specific marginalized groups and people who have been excluded for years and all their lives, then you are part of the system. You are perpetuating those norms. And you know, all of these end up in the most fatal and very negative outcomes. We have gender-based violence, we have culture of rape, we have child abuses, and all of these that are underpinned within the culture that we perpetuate and uphold. And so if we don't try our best to read as much as we can on what is feminism, what is, you know, gender-based violence, what is consent, you know, which is also part of a comprehensive sexuality education, then this is the culture that will continue to be wielded in our communities.
Okay. Seeing that young people, this will be my last question for now.
No problem.
And we are more speaking of our younger generation. What advice do you have for the youth in pushing or having the drive to make their voices being heard out there?
Start by taking up the little space that is made available for you. Not all of us would have the resources, the class, the privileges, the platforms, the spaces here to be able to speak on the issues that matter to us. But wherever you can, because we know that young people's voices are disproportionately excluded from conversations. We are always censored, we are always silenced. And that does a huge disservice to getting our needs met. So start in your own space, even if it is in classroom, even if it is in your household, no matter how difficult at times. And we know that many young girls especially are at most risk based on all of the statistics that come out on gender-based violence and child abuse, all of that. But wherever you can, if you can, just try and start cultivating and building that voice of activism, of consciousness. You don't have to be the most smartest thinking person or intellectually, you know, conceptual person. You just have to start speaking. And once you start speaking, you start building on different narratives. And you draw these narratives by associating yourself in circles and with conversations and with ideas and theories that really are much more progressive in the kind of world and surrounding you want to live in. Even if it is joining just maybe organizations, for example, as a volunteer like Out-Right Namibia, you can come in and do some volunteer work based on the programs that are being implemented. That's where you start bringing more awareness to your understanding your surrounding, because we all can't live in isolated boxes. We have to open up our worlds in the most smallest and subtle capacities until such a time where, if ever you get the chance to, you are given that platform to then speak to a collective of people, because now you have built the foundation over these years. You've cultivated your voice, and so you should not necessarily wait on someone else to open or give you your voice, because your voice is still very sacred to you. But you should at least try and build those environments and those scenarios in which your voice is strengthened and does get empowered. And through that, that's where you now can start the process for you to be included and to feel included within the different spaces that are made available for you.
Okay, that's it from Ndiilo. She said, start small and make sure your voices are heard. It's never too early or too late to start. The journey is a roller coaster, but someday you would get there. And speaking of starting small, maybe one of these young people, part of the protest, well, one of them that started small in having their voices being heard. So we have a little video for you guys.
To Ngela Hospital today, you go to the pediatric department, you find small kids there who are left by their mothers because they can't take care of them. And the parents of these young kids who are abandoned in the hospital, they are young girls dumped there in the hospital. Please, the women parliamentarians, especially in the parliament there, or whoever, why don't you go and take those children and take care of them? instead of parading no abortion. And why, if you hear that, the pro-choice people are saying the thing is done behind the doors in darkness. The women are suffering at the hospital, the trauma when they come now for DNC, dilated and curettage. I have never heard one of them who said, let me go at least for 1 week to the pediatric department or to the gynecology department to go and see really what is happening. And I'm telling you, if you go there, you will change your mind. You will be pro-choice.
Yeah. Get your policies off my ovaries. Reproductive justice now. Reproductive justice now. Reproductive justice now. Reproductive justice now. Get your policies off my ovaries. Get your policies off my ovaries. Get your policies off my ovaries. Reproductive justice.
It cannot be that you have to do this today. It could not be. How could it be? Because we thought we secured your future. We thought when we took up the fight against Depo Provera, we thought by this day you'd be able to walk into the corridors of the state hospitals and just complete a form. And there you are, by your choice. I am sorry that we failed you. I am sorry that the state has failed you. I am sorry that the church, of which all of us has been forced to be baptized, has failed you. This morning, we are marching to say, churches, hands off. Yes. We are chaining ourselves together to say, but not the chain of the church. Yes. Churches, hands off. Yes. That is your doctrine. Yes. And yet, what is happening in the echelons of the Catholic Church?
Speak it.
What is happening in the Vatican? Therefore, what is happening in the echelons of all the church buildings, whether it's Pentecostal, whether it's mainline religious, we are saying hands off. For once in our lives of my granddaughters and my daughters, let them have a choice. We need to inform you, churches. Why you responding is from an ignorant point of view. You don't understand the burden that is given to us as women when we have to give birth, when we have to take charge of a raped, surviving child. You don't understand what it means for my womb to carry that child. You don't understand when I don't consent to a sexual act of my father. You don't understand that sexual act coming from my uncle. You just don't understand what it means when I am in a date evening. I thought I would enjoy and end up being raped. You just don't understand.
Drag them!
You cannot make that choice for me. I have to have the opportunity, the right to deal with the burden that you so-called men, so-called fathers, so-called uncles, and so-called police officers, and so-called Mr. President, and so-called Master Member of Parliament is bestowing on me. I am here to tell you, your religious beliefs cannot stop me, because I have done backyard abortion already. I need a legalized process now so that my life can continue. So therefore, I bow to those who have attempted to put this law by way of motion to Parliament. I want to tell the political parties, I realize now that we are not at par as women activists and you. You have tried and have done so many years ago to abuse my vote.
Yes.
This time around, I am awakened. Master, Mrs. PDM, I am awakened. Master, Mr. LPM, I am awakened. Master, Mrs. Nudo, I am awakened. Master, Mrs. Southwest Africa People's Organization, I am very awakened. I am awakened. This time around, I am awakened by those who chant down feminism. I am awakened by those who have come of age like me that needs to go out so that the youth can take over and give us progressive voices. I call on abortion to be legalized for the good and beauty of our young, beautiful women. That's the day when our children will not walk the streets, beg for food. That's the day when our children will be loved by their fathers and their mothers together. That's the day when no DNA test will be needed for maintenance. That's the day no baby dumping will happen. That's the day. That's the day I will celebrate my old age, because I don't need to have children in a children's home. That's why I'm begging you, lawmakers, stop the behavior of patronizing the women. Stop, Mrs. Dienta, because you have come out. I want you to to have me and you sit down. I want to talk to you because it's just merely your Catholic belief. Being a Catholic member once like me, I want you to stop patronizing the women, the young girls. Our daughters and granddaughters are speaking. Can we listen to them? I want to give thanks to the men who have been following, who have been understanding.
Women must decide their fate.
And when I'm in there, sit by the sea. Let it pick us up, take us out deep, deep to the ocean, please. I want to hear the prayers of the ocean, please. I want to feel like we're alone. I want your love and no one else's. And maybe then we'll find some silence. 'Cause out here it's hard to find it when everything is coated in violence. Different faces, paces, cases of violence. Mama, I see you're tired too. You keep on moving, I'm amazed by you. So let us sleep and float away. And I promise the tide will bring us back on a better day. Please bring us back on a better day. Please bring us back on a better day.
Women in Namibia are not free. We are not free because freedom is the right to choose. And we don't have that right to choose, so our struggle is not over. Today, I only want to express three things. One is admiration. Two, appreciation. And three, disappointment. My admiration goes to these young feminists who have led us in this struggle, who have shown us the way. Our struggle is not over, and I have confidence that you will take up this historic task that will liberate women in Namibia. Secondly, I want to express my appreciation. Firstly, for the Deputy Minister for having the courage to raise the issue. We have been waiting since 1996 for this issue to come up again. She has shown courage. I also want to show my appreciation to the men who are standing here with us today in solidarity. You are making history because you are leading the way towards a new masculinity in Namibia.
I join this march is because of these poor people in Ombili, in Hakahana, whose voices are not heard. Most of those women who are the parliamentarians who are saying that no abortion, the baby who is going to be born is maybe going to be a president. But what about the young girl who is raped at 15 by an uncle or the father? She was maybe also going to be a president. And I know with their money, they might be sending their children in secret to South Africa to have abortion because they can afford it. So, please, I want the government to legalize abortion. It is done better.
Freedom is choice. Freedom is choice. Freedom is choice. Freedom is choice. Choice is freedom. Choice is freedom. Legalize abortion now. Legalize
Okay, there you have it. Those are the visuals from the protest, pardon me. And speaking of young people getting their voices heard, we visited Academia Secondary School here in Windhoek and asked some of the learners how their university hunting is going thus far. This is what they had to say.
Hi, my name is Bianca Mbapu, currently in B12, and the question is, how is my university hunting going? It's not going well because of the current COVID-19 situation. Since we cannot apply abroad anymore, and I really wanted to study abroad, and I haven't actually started applying yet for the local institutions because I haven't written yet my August examinations.
Hello everybody, my name is Peter Senyonanye, currently a matric at Academia Secondary School. I'm going to talk about how is my university hunting going. So the university hunting is not going quite well due to the pandemic in the country. So we are all having doubts, we are not all unsure what is going to happen to us. And also the universities are struggling with online classes. All learners are not online and all that. Some of them are not attending classes as they're supposed to. So things are quite difficult at this stage. We are not unsure. Also the people that are involved in these processes are unsure. Some maybe might be sick, some are unable to come because to the fear that they have. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sheila Perestrello, and when it comes to the universities, I'm kind of in a state of confusion due to everything that has happened because I feel like everything was put on hold, especially now that we haven't written any examinations. I don't know how to feel about the situation, but coming to the end of the year, hopefully that the fog that is in my mind will be cleared by the end of this year because I'll have some idea of what the next step will be, but right now it's really a state of confusion. I don't know what's next, what's step, where to apply to or how to apply since we haven't written any exams yet, but hopefully that will clear up.
So my university hunt so far, I was planning on studying internationally, but now that coronavirus is here, it's very difficult. So right now I am figuring out what more about what Namibian universities are offering, and I am awaiting my results because right now we are going to write exams to get into university so that I can find out exactly what I can do. And the university hunt is actually not that terrible because Namibia has three universities now. There is UNAM, NAST and IUM, and I think they all offer what I want to study, so I will definitely have a place to study next year.
Good morning, my name is Vapida Kailikashova. My university hunt is not going well. Well, I didn't really want to apply for university this year anyway, so I wasn't going to apply this year, but I couldn't apply as well because I didn't yet write my August exam. So if I still feel like I want to apply, I can start after I get my results. So yeah, hopefully I'll do that, or maybe I might take a gap year next year.
The university hunt is, I can't really explain, I can't really say that it's going good for me because like most of the things that I wanted to study is international. So like, especially now that I have to consider going to NAST because NAST has other ICT courses which I'm not really interested in. So right now I just have to focus on my points and other courses that I'll be studying in the future.
Okay, there you have it from the learners of Academia Secondary School. On our page 3 of the zone today, we had the writing competition. The Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture has decided to partner with I'm the Key Children's Media for the writing competition, which is offered to young people from the age of 7 to 16 years. And the competition is slated to end at the end of September. And one of the senior winners, last year's senior winners, Ngovishita Muvingoro, also got to be featured on BBC's What's New episode on her book called Olofuko Princess. And here is a video of the episode.
Cultural identity. My name is Kuvichita Movirongo and I'm 14 years old. I won the Young Namibian Writing Competition in the senior category. Hidden in the northern part of Namibia lies the Omusati region. a region like no other. I just thought that I was writing, it's my first time writing, I might come third or second, but I ended up coming first, so I felt so proud. I just started dancing out of the blue, and they were laughing at me because I didn't know how to dance. I felt so happy. After I won the competition, the prize was my book being published. A young Kwaluti girl named Nangi lives in Sandi, a beautiful place in the Omusati region. When I was writing the book, at first it was kind of difficult, but then throughout the book I learned some new things and I got people to participate with me. Then the words came to me naturally. When she was just a little girl, her father offered her as a tribute to the Ovaherero people in order to unite the two kingdoms and develop an undefeatable empire. The book is about a young girl named Nangi, a young Okwaluti girl that lives in a royal palace homestead. The one thing that was holding them back was Nangi's young age. So her father declared that as soon as she turned 16, they would hold a traditional passing of age ceremony that would determine her womanhood. The ethnic traditional custom is known as an Olufuko ritual to the Ovambo people. The Olufuko ceremony is it's a very controversial topic. Not a lot of people liked the idea at that time. So I wanted to take up the responsibility and show them what Olufuko really meant. Olufuko is an ancestral heritage in which we manifest our beings. It builds young girls into the woman that they're yet to become. It celebrates or it portrays womanhood in a very unique manner. Sure, it has good and bad practices, but why totally eradicate the entire culture? Why not separate the bad from the good? She says Olufuko defines, restores, and explains away all the colonial irregularities that African people witnessed under the period of absolute oppression by white colonists. Without Olufuko, we wouldn't know what the white people did to us in colonialism those years. Olufuko reunites us with our culture from colonialism, as these practices were and still are being undermined by white people and the generations of black people born after colonialism. I want my book to reach young children these days. I want them to be culturally diverse, and I want them to understand their culture and to practice their culture and to basically just see their culture from a different angle. I want to be a doctor. Being an author isn't that different from being a doctor, because both occupations have one similar goal, and that's to help those in need. A doctor does so physically, whilst an author does so emotionally. Culture is made up of the social behavior and norms found in human societies. There are good practices and there are bad practices. We must remove the bad practices and keep the good practices.
Wow, that was so awesome. I feel like I want to be part of the book, and I want to read the book and also just attend one of the Olufuko festivals here in Namibia. And speaking of education, the grade 6 and, the grade 7 and grade 9 learners resumed with face-to-face teaching and learning yesterday. So we visited Eshipena Secondary School here in Windhoek, and this is a video of the principal addressing the learners on how the new formalities will work, on how their tuck shops will work, on how the toilets will work, and get used to the new normal.
What is coronavirus and how it spreads, right? But by this point in time, I do not want to indulge, but I also do not want to take it for granted that you know how coronavirus spreads. And therefore, I will just outline some of the few things that you guys need to do when you're at school. My grade 9s, we also have the concept of the Ubuntu, the culture of sharing in Africa. And when the president is pronouncing himself with a state of emergency, the culture of sharing in Africa has come to an end. If you are here, forget about sharing. On your way from home, forget about sharing. In Africa, we share, it has died a natural death. You will be surprised, people even want to share their masks. Please, do not do that. We are not going to share pens, be it whatever stationaries. If you don't have it, deal with it. Okay? So please, do not share. We have placed the pedal taps, the pedal taps, the tip taps as they pronounce them as in these days, that you need to wash your hands each and every time. You need to wash your hands each and every time. I know there are people here, I know you guys, there are many of you that do not like to wash their hands. We also have hand sanitizers for each and every classroom. Before you exchange whatever personal documents that you may exchange, please see to it that the same material is sanitized. We also do not, at the same time that we are scared and fear this coronavirus, we do not want you guys to be scared. We want you guys to have hope. Because there's nothing, even if you are scared and you are not taking precautions, it's helpless. Do you understand? So it's therefore very much necessary that even though we are scared, we should not really be scared, but should be determined and live in the way that we are all positive. What we mean is that we should all live in a positive way, that and we feel that we are all positive. It's for this moment that we are preparing to prepare ourselves psychologically.
Okay, learners now have to get used to the new normal, but that's it from us today from our show. And remember, on the 12th of August, catch us on our Facebook pages and also our website for the Career VX for your career guidance. Until next Tuesday, it's goodbye.